Welcome to the Wealth Embodied podcast. I'm your host, Brianna Faringer, an attorney, spiritual guide, and wealth activator. I'm here to help you align your mindset for abundance and break through any glass ceilings with money. If you're ready to embrace your highest calling, manifest with more ease, and create a life that feels lighter and more aligned, then let's dive in. Hello, welcome to the Wealth Embodied podcast. I'm your host, Brianna. Thank you for listening. So I am going to talk about something that is probably overdone at this time of year, but I don't care because I think no matter what time of year it is, these things are things that everyone needs to hear, myself included, even though these are things that I'm constantly dealing with, personally for myself and in my practice when I'm working with people, but it is ways to save money. So there's a ton of stuff right now at the beginning of the year, the end of year, beginning of year, especially on social media around this. And if you like social media, I encourage you to, use other people's stories and things that they have done to save money if it helps you. But I would also caution you about taking advice about certain types of products and taxes from people online because there's so much misinformation, particularly about taxes. And there's people who say that they're professionals or they're CPAs or whatever, and they're giving all sorts of incorrect advice on social media. So I will just throw that out there as be very cautious about the people that you get information from. But in terms of like ways to save money, I think there's a lot of ways to do this. And I think, there's a lot of ways I save money and, things I would definitely encourage you to look at if you are in a season in your life where you are trying to form better habits around finances. And I think it's also important to be aware of what you're spending, no matter who you are, how much money you make. If you make so much money that it just doesn't matter to you, first of all, you're probably not listening to this podcast, but good for you. There's lots of things that people can waste their money on if they choose to do that. But I think if you are an average person and you are either, I'm not talking about people who are at the poverty level, I'm talking about people who are lower, middle class and upper middle class, even some people who, are with, making more money, but they're not like billionaires, can really stand to have better spending habits. We live in a society where materialistic things, clothes, bags, cars, jewelry, things like that hold a lot of value for some people, which is fine. The thing I always encourage people to do is, number one, be aware about what it is that you want in your life. What are your priorities? What brings you joy? What are the things that truly make you happy? And getting very clear on that is important because if your spending does not align with that, you are never going to be happy. That I can guarantee you. If your spending habits do not align with your priorities in life, you're always going to feel like you don't have money. You're always going to feel like you don't have enough. And that's why I do feel like talking about saving money, ways, looking at your spending habits, being very mindful about how you spend money is incredibly important. It's not about being frugal. You can be frugal if you want to be. It's about recognizing what you're spending your money on, what is truly a need versus a want. And as you are buying things that are wants, do they align with your long-term goals for your life and for your finances? And a lot of times they don't. This is what I see all the time as a lawyer and as somebody who helps people change their relationship with money. Oftentimes the reason people are not happy is because they're not clear on what they want. And once they get clear, they're not looking at whether or not their spending aligns with that. And I'm going to give you some more information as we talk about this. But if I say one of my priorities is to make sure that I'm putting money away for retirement, and I'm, not doing that, and I'm getting DoorDash once a week, or I'm buying clothes, and maybe I'm buying designer brands, I would tell you that you're like for me, I'd be like, Brianna, your spending does not align with your priorities. So this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, this is not judging what you spend your money on. I would never tell people what they should spend their money on. What I will tell people is look at your spending and audit it to see if it aligns with what you want in life. And if it doesn't, try to align them, because you're never going to get financial freedom if you're spending your money on a bunch of nonsensical things that don't actually bring you joy. Clothes don't bring people joy in the long run. They temporarily do. Buying jewelry does not bring joy to people in the long run. Having a really nice watch is not going to help you out when you're 80 years old and you don't have a retirement account. You're going to have to sell it. So, I'm going to go through things that work for me. I'm going to go through things I know work for other people that are very conscious about their spending. And this is just about recognizing maybe places where you could change some spending habits or develop some more awareness around it so that you are able to save money if that's what you want to do, and you're able to spend your money on things that you want to spend it on. If experiences and vacations are really important to you and you're not able to do that right now, then look at your spending habits and find ways where you can save money. We are in an economy where I constantly am seeing people say that they can't afford things. Not being able to afford necessities, that is definitely a problem. I will say there's a lot of people, that could just change some of their spending habits and cut some things out, and it would change the way that they are able to live their lives. And so this is most people. If you're listening to this and you're like, I can't make any more changes. Yes, you can. You're probably just choosing not to. And a lot of people are not honest with themselves about their spending habits and what's really a need versus a want. And when it's a want, whether or not it's something that's going to bring them long-term joy. So that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about, the theme for today. I have a lot of ways that you can save money, things that you can look at. I'm probably going to break this episode up into two, just a heads up. I guess we'll see how far I get on some of these, but I don't like episodes to be too long because it's just too much to digest. So I'm going to bounce around probably a little bit into a couple different topics, but one thing I personally do to save money is I use my credit card to pay for everything as much as I possibly can. For a lot of people, that is confusing and is a hard thing to do. And the reason I use my credit card for everything is because I pay it off every month. And I do not buy a lot of stuff on my credit card that is outside of what I'm already knowing I'm going to spend it on, right? So if you don't have a budget and you're not good at budgeting, this is not going to work for you. But I would strongly encourage you to work up to being able to do this. Put as many of your monthly expenses, charges on your credit card and pay it off every month. And the reason why is because depending on the card you have, you can get points, of course, and you can get cash back. And there might be other perks on other cards. I can only tell you from the one I use. I use the Southwest credit card. I'm not telling you should or shouldn't use that. I'm just telling you what I use. The reason I use that is because when I travel domestically, that's my preferred airline. And I haven't bought a flight on Southwest in probably a decade at least, because I have so many points. Every time I fly, my flights are free. And oftentimes, if I have enough points, which I always do, I will see if there's a hotel that I can use points on that I want to stay at. And so, getting travel points for me is important because I love travel. The other thing though is I can use points to buy things or to buy gift cards at places that I would otherwise be shopping at or spending money at. So that for me is one of the ways that I save money. I also get cash back on some purchases. So I can't tell you how every card works. I can tell you on my Southwest card, you have to go on the website and be looking at the different cashback opportunities, and you have to select the ones that you want to apply. They don't just automatically apply. Other cards might be different. So if you have a points card or you're thinking about getting one, I'm just telling you, you need to do all of this research. But for Southwest, I have my Southwest through Chase Bank. When I'm in my Chase Bank account, I have to go and select places, and there's often places on there where I buy things at regularly, groceries. Sometimes if I know I'm going to buy something from a certain place, I'll select it. Like every once in a while, like they'll have something for Lululemon. I don't buy tons of stuff from there, but I do buy certain things from there, including like their socks, and I like their running shoes. If I know I'm going to buy a new pair of shoes, I will go and see if that's one of the back deals before I actually go make the purchase, because to me, it's worth being able to save a little bit of that money. It's not loads of money. And I say this all the time. The things that I'm telling you, they're not going to make you a millionaire, but these are the stepping stones to getting you to the place where you want to be financially. These little changes add up. Getting cash back here and there adds up. Getting points adds up. Getting free things adds up. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes for you to build up to getting more and asking for more and welcoming more wealth into your life. I've talked about this before, and I'm not going to go into that much in this episode, but saving money here and there, doing things to change your spending habits here and there have dramatic long-term effects on your financial status and your wealth. So if you're like, oh, I don't care about saving $5, well, you should, because saving $5 here and there can be a lot of money. And if you think about what if I had invested that in an investment account and let it grow at an average of 10% over 20 or 30 years, you would be shocked at the amount of money that you would have in a retirement account by now. So yeah, if you think $5 or $10 here and there is not a big deal, I would tell you to go on to a calculator and say, if I had been investing $5 or $10 a month every single month for 30 years, how much money would I have? And you'd probably be shocked, and you'd be like, oh, I wish I'd gone back and done that. This does make a big difference. Okay. It also makes a big difference if you're saving money and you're putting what you're saving into investment accounts. But I prefer to save money. I would rather have as much money in my pocket as possible. I am a mindful spender. I do not consider myself frugal at all. So maximizing points. One thing that I do with my Southwest card is, if you do not want to use travel miles, like I haven't traveled domestically as much over the last 5 or 6 years as I used to. I've done when I do international travel, I can't use these points, but Southwest will let you buy gift cards. So several times last year, I went on and got $100 gift cards at places that I would go and buy clothes at, right? Like Lululemon's one of them. Gap is another one. They have other like retailers on there where it's like, okay, if I would go buy clothes at this place anyway, why not get $100 free there so I could go buy something? I don't buy a lot of clothes, which is another thing I'm going to get to. But when I do spend money on clothes, I go and I'm like, oh, should I use my Southwest points to get like some free gift cards? And I bought several $100s worth of things last year that I needed, not things I wanted, things I needed, including like socks, shoes, like workout shoes, which I use every single day, and I walk my dog multiple miles every single day. So I do need things like that, but it prevents me from actually using my own money to buy clothes. So that's what I do. I'm like, oh, let me go see, if like maybe there's something at the Gap that I, if I need this thing, if I need, this item of clothing, let me see if there's a store that has it, and then I'll go get a free gift card from Southwest. Like, to me, that saves me so much money, and I don't buy a lot of clothes or shoes or things like that anyway. But when I do, I want to see if I can get them for free. So, and the cost of a Southwest card is not that much. The annual fee is not that much. So that's one thing I recommend. And I'm not promoting Southwest. I just have that card. It's the only one I've ever used, and I like it. There's so many other cards out there that are good. And I think if you did some research, you could find some online. I don't even know what the other good ones are, but there are some. And so if you are not using a credit card to buy everything, I would recommend you do that so you can maximize points and cash back. I believe that using a credit card actually keeps your spending on task. That's my personal belief, because I refuse to rack up a balance on my credit card. So I never go on and spend things more than I know I can pay. So if that's something you struggle with, you need to create a budget and stick to it. And until you can stick to it, maybe having a credit card doesn't work for you, but having a credit card to pay for things also helps significantly reduce fraud issues. Like if you do have somebody that gets a hold of your card, it's much easier to get that resolved on a credit card than it is on a debit card. So just throw that out there. Okay, so one of the other things that I do personally, and I know a lot of people do, is I buy generic when I can. This is mostly at the grocery store. I don't have a problem with generic products. Some generic products I would. And it just depends on the item. Like cheese, that to me, like having generic cheese is not like, I'm fine with the Amazon brand or like the Safeway brand or whatever store I'm at. I don't care about that. Like I don't need to spend double the amount for products at a grocery store that I can get for half price. That's just how I am. Also, I almost never shop at Whole Foods anymore. And I love Whole Foods, by the way. I'm not telling you not to go there. There are some people who their priority is having really good, healthy food. Mine is also, by the way. I just stopped going to Whole Foods because for me personally, I found that the things that I was buying, I could buy the majority of my groceries at other places and pay less, and it was just as good. I'm also a vegetarian, so I don't eat meat. And Whole Foods and some of the natural, like natural grocers and some of those places do tend to have a lot more vegetarian. And I think food, like if you have specific types of diets, they're better at meeting those than a normal grocery store. But that being said, I was used to shop at Whole Foods all the time. And then I was like, what am I doing? It's so expensive to go here. A lot of the stuff that I buy, I can get at other places. And I don't honestly care about like organic stuff all that much. Like if organic things are available, I'll get them. If they're not, I'm perfectly fine buying like non-organic blueberries and some of those other things. Again, I'm not telling you you need to do this. I'm just telling you some of the things I think of when I'm going to the store. There's a lot of things you don't need to spend money on. If there's particular brands that you really like of things, especially like meats, even though I don't eat meat, but buying like higher end meats, where maybe from better companies where hopefully animals are treated more humanely. I'm not sure that that's even really something that you can figure out from the store, but again, I don't buy meat. Or just buying from brands that you feel good about. If that brings you joy and that's a priority for you, do it. I'm not telling you not to, but what I'm telling you is for me, I have found that buying generic products, especially like things like cereal, oatmeal, I don't need to have fancy oatmeals. To me, oatmeal is oatmeal. I can buy the generic brand. I could care less about having a name brand. I don't need to spend double the price at another store. That's just me. But I would think about that. Like, do I need to be spending this much money on groceries? If that's something that you feel is important, or you feel like you're spending a lot on groceries, there's a lot of ways to reduce what you spend. I know there's an app. I don't remember what it's called, and I'm sure there's more than one of them, but if you Googled it, it would come up. There's an app that compares groceries at different stores. So I think you can, I don't remember if it's item by item or if it's cart by cart. Like if you put everything in your cart that you want, it will tell you the price differences at other stores. So you could see where it's like currently today, where would be the least expensive place for you to go buy groceries. Honestly, I'm not sure that there's that big of a difference between some of the like main brands or main chains, rather. Like maybe there is, but I know when I had looked at that app, I remember thinking the difference between the things I was going to buy was not so significant that it was worth me going out of my way and driving further and spending the gas to do it. So I'm just throwing that out there. Or cut coupons if like that's something that brings you joy and you want to spend time doing it. I don't want to spend time doing that. But buying things that are generic instead of buying name brand, spending less money on things where you can, like, and this relates to some of the other things I'm going to get into, which is, designer labels. I mean, I guess I'll just talk about that one now. I was going to talk about it like further down. I just have a list here, but you don't need designer brands. You just don't. Nobody needs them. Those are wants. I would really, like, if you're going to buy something designer, I would really, and I'm not judging it, by the way. This is, again, not about judging what people spend their money on. This is just hey, if these are things you're spending money on and you are not happy, or you feel like you're working and you don't have any money and you don't have a savings account and you've got high interest credit cards, or you're not putting money in retirement, you shouldn't be spending your money on luxury brands or designer brands. I'm just going to tell you that flat out. Like, this is not about judgment. This is about how can I make smart decisions with my money. It is not smart to go out and buy designer labels if you don't have an emergency savings account. It is not smart to go out and buy designer things and pay full price for things if you have high interest rate credit cards that you haven't paid off. If you do not have any money in a retirement or investment account, like these are all things like before you should even be spending any money on something designer. So I'm just telling you this, you should have no credit card debt. You should have no high interest debt. You should have an emergency savings account, and you should be putting money into an investment account. That's the smartest thing to do. And that's what pretty much anybody in the financial world, financial advisors, financial planners are going to tell you. You should not be buying designer or luxury things if you are not able to do all of those other things first. So I just throw that out there for consideration. If this is something that is important to you, I would really significantly question the reason that that has so much importance to you. If having a designer handbag or a watch or like something is so important, that's fine. There's no judgment around it. I would just question the reason that you're buying it. And this is what I do every time I make a purchase, you guys. Every time I buy something that's not a necessity, I say to myself, do I need this? I ask myself this question every time. And I'm not talking about like, I don't know, being at the gas station and being like, I want a water, right? Like, okay, that's fine. I don't really buy water at the gas station, but I'm just like, I'm talking about like, not just spending money without thinking about it. Like I don't buy things on Amazon on the spot. And that's another thing I'm going to talk about. But giving yourself time and space to be like, number one, do I need this thing? Number two, why do I want this thing? Is there some other thing driving it? Like if I am so insistent on buying luxury or designer things, what's the reason? Like, am I doing it because I'm trying to keep up with other people? Am I doing it because I care what other people think? Am I doing it because I'm trying to keep up with some image of what I want people to think I am? What is driving it? I'm saying that because a lot of people they'll buy high-end things because they're trying to impress other people. And that's okay if you're doing that, but I would those are areas and opportunities for healing. Because buying things to impress other people are not going to make you happy. There's something underlying the surface that needs some attention or is wanting some healing. So I would always question everything that you're buying. If it's not a necessity, I'm not talking about like questioning whether or not you should pay for your prescription at the pharmacy. I'm talking about clothes, shoes, bags, cars, jewelry, extra things like that. Things that you don't need. These are wants. And no, you don't need a car. You want a car, but that's like another topic I won't get into. I have a car. It's hard to get around without a car, but I'm just telling you, I've not had one before and have used public transportation, and it's possible. It's just that people don't want to live their lives that way. And so there's a difference between a want and a need. Wants are things that you do not need to live, that are not necessities. Food, shelter, minimal clothing, medications, things that are going to keep you alive. Heat. I'm not talking about cars, like having 10 pairs of black shoes, having all of these like, high-end tennis shoes, whatever the thing is. You don't need those things, you guys. If you take anything away from this today, please, like you don't need a closet full of clothes that you're not going to wear. Nobody cares. You're the only person that cares. Just so you know, if people care about what you're wearing, they're not people I would want to have in my life. But anyway, buying generic where you can. I don't have a problem with this. I don't really get caught up in designer labels, by the way. I could care less about designer stuff. There are certainly some brands that I like of things. Like I just told you, I like Lululemon's tennis shoes. I do buy higher end shoes and more like shoes that are a little bit more expensive because I have problems with one of the tendon in my feet. And if I don't have really supportive shoes, I have a lot of health problems. And so in terms of like tennis shoes or like athletic shoes, sneakers, I have to buy certain brands. And there's certain ones, even there's really, really expensive brands that don't work well on my feet. So those are needs for me. Like I can't exercise without having, good pairs of shoes. But beyond that, I could care less. Like I have clothes from all sorts of different places. And I often will not buy clothes unless they're on sale. So just some things to think about. Okay, eating out. I do not eat out very much. I also do not buy coffee. I almost never buy coffee. Again, if this brings you joy going to get coffee, do it. But what I would say is if you're doing it all the time every day, or if you're doing it a lot, maybe say, hey, can I cut back one less a week or one less a month? And then keep asking yourself that if you can do that. I would also question why you're doing it. I don't like to buy coffee out because I prefer the coffee I make at home. I make lattes at home. I have an espresso. I love it. Yes, the coffee pods can be expensive. I go back and forth between buying them from Nespresso and buying them from generic makers, just so you know. And sometimes I don't use the Nespresso, but I prefer the coffee I make at home, the lattes I make at home over any other place, over a coffee shop, Starbucks, anything, a local place. I don't like their coffee as much as the ones that I make at home. So for me, I'm like, why would I buy coffee out if I can just get it at home? I also find it to be hugely irritating to have to go out of my way to go to a drive-through or go somewhere to pick up a coffee in the morning. Like, I love coffee. I want to have it immediately when I wake up, and I don't need any more than that. So for me, that's just never been something that I've liked paying money for. I will do it occasionally, but I probably buy coffee maybe like once a quarter. And that's like if a friend asks me to go meet them somewhere or something like that. Again, these are just things I do to save money. You don't have to do them. I do not eat out very much. I don't actually get a lot of joy from eating out. I do occasionally. I like the interaction with other people. But beyond that, I don't really enjoy it. I'm a super picky eater. I prefer often to just make my own food. And I will also add that I hate cooking and I hate grocery shopping. So the fact that I am able to make that work, that I eat the large majority of my meals at home, and I hate cooking and I hate grocery shopping, if I can do it, you can do it. Because there's not very many people that dislike cooking and grocery shopping as much as I do. But I have a plan. I know what I'm buying at the grocery store every week. I have my groceries delivered. I do not go to the grocery store. That's actually one of the ways that I save money. I order most of the same things every single week. I have my groceries delivered. It is not expensive to do that. And I save money by not going to the grocery store myself because I'm not actually buying extra stuff that I don't need. And it's a lot simpler. Somebody just brings everything to my door and all I have to do is pay them a tip. It's not very much money. But I also meal plan and I come up with, this is what I'm going to make. And it's the thing that works best for me, although I haven't done it as much like since the holidays, is I usually will meal prep and make all of like my breakfasts and dinners or lunches for at least a couple days. So I can get through like several days. And I just know like if I'm coming home and I'm tired and I'm like, I don't feel like cooking, great. I already have something in the refrigerator that I literally just need to heat up. That's it. I don't need to do anything else. I portion everything out. When I meal prep, I portion everything out and I put them in separate Tupperware. So like it is ready to go. All I have to do is heat it up. I can take it to work with me. I can eat it when I come home from work if I'm at the office that day. I try to make it as easy for myself as possible because I know how much I hate cooking. If I'm not doing something like that, I'll eat cereal for every meal, which is not healthy. And there was a time in my life where I did that, not because I can't afford to buy other food, but because it's easy. So if I can do it, you can do it. I've had a client tell me that this person just hates cooking. I totally get it. If you don't like cooking, that's fine. Go out to eat. If you can afford to go out to eat for every meal and that brings you joy and you're still able to put money in savings and retirement and you can still pay all your bills, do it. For some people, that's actually the best solution. That's fine. For most people, it's not. You don't need to eat out every meal. You don't need to get coffee out. I see people on Instagram and like TikTok that are getting coffee every single day. They go through like a Starbucks or like a Dutch Brothers drive-through. And I am like, oh my God, the amount of money you're wasting is absolutely insane to me. I just wouldn't do that. And again, this is not about judging how people spend their money. It's about observing it and saying, do I really need to do this? If you get yourself a really good coffee maker or espresso maker, it's worth spending the money to do it. You will save so much more money in the long run if you just start making your coffee or your, whatever kind of coffee drink you want in the morning at home. Stop buying it out. The other thing is, and I'm like, I have so many more things after this, but I'm gonna stop after this one. I do not use meal delivery services. I do not use DoorDash. I do not use Uber Eats. If you want to waste an enormous amount of money, that's what you should do, is order out from food delivery services all the time. Even if you have a membership to those places, it is still so much money. Like, I think about the amount of money that people spend on Uber and like Uber Eats and DoorDash, and I'm like, if you were just putting that same amount of money into an investment account, again, you would be shocked at the amount of money that you would have in 20 and 30 years. It's crazy. You don't need to have people deliver you a coffee. You don't need to have people deliver McDonald's to you. I get that there are times where like that is very convenient, and if you have a family, that might be very convenient. I just think it's such a giant waste of money. There was this kind of trend on TikTok that I saw that was happening towards the end of last year, and it might still be going on, of all these people talking about how many times they ordered from DoorDash or Uber Eats. And there was one woman who was very young. She looked like she was in her early 20s, who said she ordered it 83 times. And I'm like, oh my God, I hope you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to like justify that, because if you're young and in your 20s and you're spending money every 4 days roughly getting DoorDash, you are wasting your money. Like, this is, I hate to say this, but like, this is part of the reason that people don't have money in savings and that they can't afford to buy things. They're wasting their money on nonsense. And again, I'm not saying never do this. I'm just saying, if you are in a position where you are willing to change some of your habits, these are things to look at. Like, do you really need to get DoorDash? Like, and this is, again, questioning every time before you order something, saying, do I really need this? That's actually what prevents me from ordering food like and having it delivered. And I did have DoorDash delivered one time last year. And I was surprised it was once, because I thought maybe it was like twice. I will have food delivered occasionally. If if I was really sick, that's something I would do. If it was like really crappy weather outside, it might be something I would do. If I didn't have any food, if I just didn't feel well and was tired. Like, I get there's times where it's very convenient. But the thing is, I do it very rarely. It takes a lot for me to be willing to pay for somebody the amount of fees and the tip that I have to pay them to deliver food to me versus me just going to pick it up myself or making something at home. What ends up happening is I'm like, oh, I'll just make something. Because I don't want to spend all that money on that. I say to myself, do I really need this food delivered so badly that I'm willing to forego putting this money into my retirement account? This is the question I ask myself every time I go to purchase something that's not a necessity. You don't have to do this, but I will tell you, the more that you start to do that, the more you're going to find you change your spending habits to align with what you want. If there's like a vacation you've been wanting to go on and you don't have money to do it, stop spending money on stupid things. You don't need coffee. You don't need to eat out. Like, I'm not saying don't do whatever. I'm just saying cut it back a little bit, being like, okay, I'm going to exercise some restraint and I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm going to plan my meals. I'm going to go to the grocery store and I'm going to find a way so that I have food ready and I don't need to have it delivered. Or I'm going to get a good coffee maker or an espresso maker, and I'm going to start making things at home. It's so much cheaper to make coffee at home. It's crazy. So I have so many other things that I want to get into. So I think I'm going to put this in next week's episode. I'm going to leave it there because I just want to have these as things for you to think about. If you don't want to change your spending habits, don't do it. If you are perfectly fine, like you're able to pay all your needs, you're able to buy the things that you want, you have a savings account, you're putting money in investments or retirements, you don't have high interest debt, great. If you don't want to change your spending habits, don't. I would just say a lot of people that I know and a lot of people that I work with, I can see they will be making a lot of money. They are making well enough to be, spending needlessly if they want to, but they don't have assets. And this is like the kind of thing that I would want you to start thinking about. if you are not putting your money in assets that are, number one, going to make you money, and number two, are going to be there for you in the long run, you do have to engage in some form of future planning. There was a time in my life where I didn't even want to think about that, where I was like, I'm like, 80 felt like a really long ways away. And it still does, but I see people constantly get to a certain age and not have money, and they have to work or they have to live so frugally because they don't have any other option. And I'm trying to prevent people who have the ability to make changes in their life right now from ending up in that spot. I see it all the time, you guys. You guys don't see it because this is not the area that you work in. I constantly am dealing with people that have high debts. They can't pay the IRS. They can't pay a lot of other people off. They've made some choices in their life that have gotten them here. Sometimes they weren't saving. They weren't putting money away. A lot of times people just think, I'm always going to be making the same amount of money. I can almost guarantee you that's not going to happen. Something will happen in your life that will wake you up and be like, I can't depend on that. I'm going to have to start doing something about it. And I don't want you to be 70 when that happens. Start saving, please. Start making habits, like changes in your spending habits that will help you to create wealth in your life. And yes, saving $5 here and there is going to help you do that. Not spending a ton of money at the grocery store is going to help you do that. Not buying coffee, not getting DoorDash, not eating out all the time, not buying designer stuff, and using credit cards to get points. Like that to me is like, that's the easiest hack. You just get a bunch of free stuff. Why wouldn't I want that? And why wouldn't I want to travel for free? So those are just some things to think about. In part two, I have a bunch of other things I want to go through. There's so many more. But yeah, I hope that this was helpful. If you just need like an exercise to do, like, how do I start to implement this? Just go through and look at some of the spend. I wouldn't use December as a month to do this because that kind of gets skewed with holidays and like buying gifts for people. But go back to like September, October, November or something and look at your spending habits and say, where can I make some changes? You absolutely can. People that tell me they can't reduce their expenses anymore, that's nonsense. I know that that's not true because I see it all the time. You just don't want to. And those are two different things. Being able to make a change is different than not wanting to. And if you don't have the money that you think that you need and you don't have money in savings, you have to start making changes in your life. You have to. Because eventually it's going to catch up to you and then you're going to be in real trouble. And I don't want that for people. So use this as an opportunity to just look at things, observe, and say, where can I make some changes? You don't have to start making changes today, but I would recommend doing it now. It's the beginning of the year. Again, my last week's episode was about how I don't like the beginning of the year. At least January 1 is being like the time for resolutions. But I do think it's a good time of year to just like analyze what happened last year and decide, okay, like what types of changes, if any, do I want to make this year? Everyone can make changes to their spending habits. Everyone, me included. And I am very mindful about what I spend money on. But I buy things that other people would think are ridiculous. So I also throw that out there that every single one of us, our spending is individual. What you want to spend your money on and what brings you joy is individual. So if other people are spending their money in a way that you think you're supposed to be, don't do that. Just do what aligns for you and know that changing your spending habits is a decision that you have to make. It's an individual decision. Don't do it because I'm telling you to do it. Do it because you want to, and you want to align your spending with the kind of life that you truly want to live. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
Hey, before you go, would you love to receive my 3-step masterclass to easily create and hold wealth for free? It's called Effortless Money, and it includes the exact framework to start attracting money effortlessly and manifesting abundance with more ease. If you want it for free, all you have to do is leave an honest review of the Wealth Embodied podcast, take a screenshot of this episode and put it in your Instagram stories and tag me at Brianna_Faringer, and we will send you the free Effortless Money Masterclass. This is how my clients have manifested a $13,000 check, a promotion resulting in a $30,000 salary increase, and significantly improved relationships. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next time on the Wealth Embodied podcast.